Shabbat Shalom, Chag Sameach. This week we are reading from Parashat Bamidbar. We are starting a new book of the Torah, fourth book of the Torah. We're also just a few days away from the holiday of Shavuot. And I hope you've ordered your cheesecake. And essentially, I want to talk a little bit about what cheesecake means and what it means to eat cheesecake on Shavuot. So I have a whole set of verses that connect the holiday of Shavuot to dairy. For example, it says in the Song of Songs, honey and milk under your tongue. There's also a verse, Israel is like a land flowing with milk and honey. In the Torah reading for Shavuot, we have Mincha Chadasha Ladonai Vishvuotechem. And on the day of the first fruits, a new meal offering to God on Shavuot. And if you take the first letter of those four words, Mincha Men, Chadasha Chet, Ladonai Lamed, Bishvuotechem, Bet, you have Mei Chalav, from milk. So here you have at least three verses that connect the holiday of Shavuot to verses that talk about milk and dairy. But we also have gematria. We also have the Hebrew equivalent of various letters of the alphabet. We have chalav, milk, which equals 40. 40 is the number of days that Moses was up on Mount Sinai. And so you have equivalent. You have chalav, 40, and you have Moses up on the mountain for 40 days. One of my favorite expressions is we have a description of mountains, and mountains are called Harim Gavnunim, Harim Gavnunim, jagged mountains. Mount Sinai was a jagged mountain, and so the Hebrew word Gavnunim sounds a lot like gvina, cheese. So we have another connection to dairy. We need to be careful because in the Jewish tradition, it says in Talmud Pesachim that there is no such thing as joy unless you eat meat on Yom Tov. And so we do have the association that for many people, they eat dairy on the first day of Shavuot and they eat meat on the second day. So they get both. They get the miracle, the delight of chalav, milk, dairy on the first day, and the joy of Yom Tov on the second day by eating meat. What's really going on here? We have across many different cultures that there are spring holidays and spring festivals, which in those cultures you eat dairy. You have in Macedonia an example of something that the Sunday before Lent is called Cheese Sunday. Cheese Sunday. So what's happening? It's calving season all across the world. There are lots of animals being born. There are lots of mothers that are filled with milk. And so there's a lot of surplus milk around. And so societies, all societies, including Jewish society, decided they should make it a dairy holiday to use the supply of milk. In other words, first there was a supply of milk and dairy, and then they tried to find a Jewish connection to it to give it meaning. Let me share one more thought. We have the notion, the Midrash that says that the Torah was given on Mount Sinai, the written Torah was given, the oral Torah was given. Our ancient ancestors learned about kashrut, and all of a sudden eating became complicated. You can't mix meat and dairy. How do you do both at the same time? How do you have separate dishes and separate kitchens? And what do? They said, make it simple. On Shavuot, when we just got these laws, we just came down from the mountain, we have a brand new society. What are we going to do? Keep it simple. Let's just make it dairy. I like this reasoning to say Judaism can be a lot about philosophy, and it can be some complicated legal matters. Sometimes you want things to be simple. Keep it simple, especially when you have a holiday of the giving of the Torah, which means we're looking for an opportunity to study Torah all over again, to be Jewish all over again. You don't have to get a PhD in Judaism. You don't have to go to rabbinical school. You don't have to make it complicated. Start simple. Start something new. Do something quickly. Make it brief. Get an introduction. This holiday of Shavuot, take it up a level. Elevate. Add something new. But keep it simple, just as a way to add to your Jewish life, to your Jewish learning, and to your Jewish way of being. So whether you eat barekes, cheesecake, or kreplach, all of which are good Shavuot foods, enjoy. Shabbat Shalom, Chag Sameach, and thank you for joining us today.